That's right, folks. Another episode of the Razzball Fantasy Football Podcast, and it is Sunday. It is the Sunday Live Start Sit Show. Join us for 2 hours of Start Sit questions for Week 5. All this and more starting right now on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. And folks, as you can see, no Sky Gawasko today, so I have anointed the powerful, the number one host for today, Matthew Styles. You can follow him at Styles08. Matt, I am passing the baton over to you, my friend. Let's have a good Week 5. What's going on, man? Oh, I've already muted you. Not a good start.
And
not a good start. I muted you.
You want to try that again?
Yeah, there you go. My bad.
As I was saying, you have control of the board. Do as you will. That starts with muting and unmuting. Good for you. Obviously, it's very early on the West Coast, so you get at least one pass. Things are, as I told you earlier, things are a little squirrely here in Florida. We're a little nervous, but we're here for the people. So let's be here for the people for the 2 hours, and then from there, maybe we'll float down the river and end up in Cuba or the Bahamas or Jamaica or somewhere really nice. If we get evacuation, I just need you guys to open up your guest houses.
Sure. I actually don't. I would love to just house you, Matt. If you want to come to San Diego out this direction, we'll definitely put you in our spare bedroom if you need it. We got you covered. No worries.
Yeah, I need a full guest home, so that's what we're used to. That's our life now. So I'll have to gracefully pass on a spare bedroom.
Oh, thanks, Matt. Good start to the show. I offer you.
Take that for muting him.
Yeah, I know. Like, all right, this is why I mute you. This is why I don't want to hear anything you got to say now. So it's totally fine. Obviously, the London game has been kind of atrocious so far for the Jets and Aaron Rodgers. I know we have a couple questions rolling in. We'll get to them, obviously, but I just want to get quick feedback. And I throw it up to you, Dave. By the way, good to see you on again. Honestly, Dave's becoming a mainstay at this point. Love to see it. Any thoughts? Have you watched the first half? What did you think about Aaron Rodgers and company so far?
Yeah, I thought Aaron Rodgers would be fine in this system, but I think I should have been a little bit more wary. The Van Ginkel interception was just a pretty good play by Van Ginkel. He was well blind. He was a blind spot for Aaron on that interception. It was a great play by him, but the ball he sailed that was picked off by Cameron Bynum was just a bad throw. So the Jets are going to have to get it together in the second half, or the Vikings are going to run away.
Derek?
Yeah, Matt and I were actually chatting before the show on that, and yeah, basically we concluded that the Jets GM is probably on the horn with the Vegas GM, trying to get Devontae, get that deal in place to let the team know at halftime, so they'll actually come out with some fire. But yeah, those early Sunday games, I love early football, but sometimes they're not the best matchups, and this is kind of one of them. Vikings should probably run away in this one.
I think that the one thing that last week showed with Jordan Love and company, I think maybe and by the way, if you watch it, there's just like weird miscues. Like it's not like they're not able to make the plays, but the throw's just off, or the player doesn't run the perfect route. And it's like these little differences where if they connect on that play, it's not like the Vikings are just sacking Aaron Rodgers every 5 seconds and they can't move. Well, they can't run the football, which is a problem, but it was just funny how like Rodgers moves the ball down the field and they run the ball on like third and 2, and then fourth and 2, and I'm like, why are you at this point? Rodgers is who's moving the football, but
yeah, third down passing situation. Vikings, they're going to blitz, and yet no one was there to pick up the end rusher for an easy sack. So yeah, that's the Jets in a nutshell.
Matt, well, enough about the Jets, because the Jets should not ever dominate a show. Let's get started on some start-sit questions. What do we got?
All right. Got to scroll all the way back to the top for Epic Fail, who actually logged in before we did. Good on him. We do not pay overtime, nor do we provide comp time. to viewers and readers. So his pay window starts now. PPR, Javonte, Cam Akers, if Pierce doesn't suit up, Tyrone Tracy, also Cam Akers, Jennings, and Tracy. Maybe it's 2 leagues for. All right, we'll handle these as.
I think it's an
Yeah,
RB start. Yeah.
Looks like 2 different questions.
Yeah. All right. What do you want? I guess I'll go first. It was a week. I haven't had a week off here. Tyrone Tracy is not an NFL running back yet. He played receiver for Iowa, and he was behind Tyler Goodson, who is now behind Trey Sermon, who's behind Jonathan Taylor. So let's take Tyrone Tracy out of the conversation for me. I do not like Cam Akers. Bob does not like Cam Akers. None of us like Cam Akers. So by default, triple default, give me Javonte for the first half of this question, and then I will take Jawan Jennings on the second half of this question. Same reasons. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got to go with Javonte on the first part. Akers just hasn't been getting the volume, and he's not involved much in the passing game, although his 1 touchdown did come on a reception. Tracy, I don't know what to expect there with Devin Singletary unlikely to play today. So I'm gonna go with Javonte Williams on the first part. On the second part, yeah, I agree with Matt. I'm gonna play Jawan Jennings in a pretty good spot against the Arizona Cardinals rather than rely on one of the backs.
Yeah, so if you go back to our Wednesday show, Bobby and I talked a little bit about Javonte and the fact that you can run against the Raiders. And in fact, they're giving up the 5th most running back receptions in the league. So Javonte could, if game schemed right, Javonte could really be in line for a big day. So I'm going to take that chance and play him for sure. But on the other side, I'm actually intrigued a little bit by Tracy. The Giants are going to be without Neighbors today. They're going to need to find targets. And you just like Matt said, Tracy, he came up as a wide receiver, in college, and he's going to have carries as well. So I actually kind of like. I don't like the matchup necessarily against Seattle in Seattle, but I do like the fact that he could be a bigger part of this game, not only just running the ball but also receiving the ball. So I would take a chance in a flex with Tyrone Tracy over Cam Akers or Jennings here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Javonte for the first part. I think the Broncos have – we talked about, and Derek brought this up on our show, is that the Broncos had a really tough early season schedule in the sense that they were on the road a bunch. And I think they're back at home playing a Raiders defense who would, by the way, be missing some key linebackers this week. So I think that if Javonte can't get it done at home against the Raiders, then we're in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to bank on that. On the flip side, though, the Akers, Jennings, Tracy, I don't know what happened, but the Jennings big game 2 weeks ago when Debo was out, the next week came and Jennings still stayed involved. How you beat Arizona is in the slot. They're going to be down their slot corner this week too. So if in a PPR format, I actually feel pretty good about Jennings if I have to start him. So I'm going to go Javonte part 1, Jennings part 2.
All right, so we're close as a group. Busy today. Join the crowd, Savage. We're all busy today, but here we are, alas. He needs the kicker report. So, Bob, I guess we'll get to a couple kicker names later, or do you want to throw your kicker of the day out early? Or
I can throw it, man. It's Austin Seibert from the Commanders. If you can get your hands on him, I love him this week. The Packers kicker I really like too. Can never say his name, but he's a guy that I'm keeping an eye on the road against the Rams. Both those guys are pretty much available. Austin Seibert's been picked up a lot. I picked him up in all my leagues this week, but if you can't get my hands on him, I'm going to go with the Packers kicker this week.
Narvison.
There you go.
All right. Second part, Wendell Robinson. It's actually Wandale. I think we should start handing out demerits for misspellings, but we're going to let this go because we love Savage. Wandale Robinson or Josh Jacobs. I assume half PPR. I assume flex. For me, it's the guaranteed volume with Jacobs over Wandale, but I love the spot that Wandale's in. He's a PPR monster. He won't give you tons and tons of yardage necessarily, but he should have the lion's share of the targets today for the Giants. Josh Jacobs for me, but I love Wandale in the spot.
Yeah, they're both good options, but I've got to go with Jacobs over Wandale. I just think the matchup against the Rams is just too good of one for Josh Jacobs to ignore. But I like both guys. I am comfortable flexing either one of those guys or starting Josh Jacobs in one of my running back spots.
Yeah, I agree with both of what you both said. Wandale, especially when they was out, he's going to need 10 to 12 targets and pull in a majority of those just for the Giants to be in this game, frankly, in my opinion. So I do like that. He needs those air yards though, and he's just hasn't been getting those, and that's really where the demerit is on that side. But yeah, give me, like Matt said, give me the volume with Jacobs against the Rams. I can't pass that up. So I'll go Jacobs. But I like Dave said, I don't mind either one of these guys as well. In fact, I'm playing both of them in my various leagues for various reasons. But in this case, give me Jacobs.
Yeah, I think Wan'Dale Robinson is a start this week if you can get your hand, if you need to play him. But Josh Jacobs is not the player you start him over, especially with the Packers pass catchers. With Watson and Dobbs out this week, I think there could be more of a focus on Josh Jacobs. So I'm not gonna fade. I'm not gonna sit Josh Jacobs for this week in the Rams matchup, which is not a bad matchup either.
All righty. We pivot. My screen has frozen.
Right.
Yes, he asked the same question. And Cosmo, good morning. Good morning to you, Cosmo. Need 2 wide receivers and a flex half PPR. Ayuk, Flowers, Brian Thomas Jr., T. Higgins, and Javonte. So 2 wide receivers and a flex. I tend to lean normally volume here, but I will tell you, for me this week, the home run hitter is going to be Brian Thomas Jr. In a ridiculously perfect matchup for him. If Flacco starts, which it appears as if Flacco is going to be the starter, it's going to be points all over the board for both teams. So Brian Thomas is my lock. Ayuk, who is rounding into form and has got to be better than he has been, plus Debo will take some of the coverage. Ayuk is my number 2. I don't like what I've seen from anybody not named Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson from the Ravens. So I like T. Higgins in another game that's going to require points. For me, recap, Thomas number 1, Ayuk number 2, T. Higgins number 3.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to take Brian Thomas, of course. I think it's a smash matchup against Indianapolis. They are very generous in all areas of the passing game. I do like T. Higgins in this spot as a number 2 receiver against Baltimore. And my flex, it's kind of a toss-up between Ayuk and Javonte Williams. I think I'll take Javonte Williams as my flex in this spot.
So for me, again, I agree with you both. Thomas and T are definitely my first 2 here, but I'm going to go with Ayuk as well. Like Matt said, against the Cardinals, he's missed that time. He's running back into form, but I can't. I do like Javonte. We just talked about him, but I can't put Ayuk on the bench for Javonte because it's been so up and down with him, and so I need more of the ceiling play, and that to me that's Ayuk. So give me Thomas, Higgins, and Ayuk.
I gotta agree with the old school guys here. I know Dave, you're the new school. You're bringing some energy. You got some good analysis, but I'm gonna have to go with the my founding fathers here. I actually do. It really came down to Ayuk versus Javonte for me. Brian Thomas and T. Higgins are the guys that I like the most. Higgins probably game flow wise in Baltimore. I'm sorry, they're playing at home today. So I just think that the Ravens, the way you beat them is on the perimeter right now. So I like that matchup. Ayuk is interesting because with Jennings emerging now, it's like holy crap! Like I mean, how efficient Brock Purdy's got to be to support 4 pass catchers and also Mason running well. So, but I'm gonna go with Ayuk. I think it's just a safer play right now. Javonte, I like Javonte today, but I want to see him do it before I sit Brandon Ayuk for him.
Yeah, one thing with the Niners too, we haven't really seen them put it together. Like you said, Jennings is emerging, and Kittle's healthy now. The other 2 receivers are healthy now. Mason's running the ball well. I mean, they're on the verge of really putting this together. And hosting Arizona, that's a great spot for the Niners to really put their offense together. And if that's the case, you're going to want a piece of that. And yeah, that's why Ayuk makes some more sense to me.
All right, Savage wanted kicker, no Seaward available, so we gave you a secondary in Narvison. My kicker of the week was Chase McLaughlin, and he did what he needed to do on Thursday. Epic fail back again. PPR, ETN, Christian Kirk, Zach Moss, Jawan Jennings. I'm actually sitting ETN this week because I'm sick and tired of him doing nothing. Ted Bigsby's eating into his role. In a PPR, I think in a game script that is going to require the most points and the most activity is going to be Zach Moss. I know the Ravens defense is tough, but in one for this game, I think it's going to be Zach Moss will be on the field the most and have the most opportunity to have effective plays. The Jags just aren't doing what they should right now. Jennings is nice. We've already selected him once, but I'm going to lean Zach Moss today.
In this group of players, I really like Christian Kirk against Indianapolis. I think they're going to have a coming out party in the passing game today. ETN, I get that he just hasn't been doing much so far this season. I don't really like Zach Moss personally against the Ravens. They're a tough team. They're a tough team on the run. I'd rather attack them through the air. And Jennings just isn't enough of a volume play compared to the other guys. So I'm going to go with Christian Kirk here.
Yeah, well, we're going to make Bobby decide because I'm actually on ETN today of these 4. I don't love him, for some of the reasons that have been said, but he's still getting the majority of the carries. Bigsby is getting some more work, and I do like Bigsby too. But and he's also ETN's also getting some targets. He's got 15 targets in the first 4 games, and so that is going to turn into some points. And if he gets into the end zone, he's going to be just fine. You're going to be happy with that result. So again, a little bit more touchdown dependent, which frankly, any of these guys are going to be touchdown dependent, in my opinion. But now give me ETN here. A little bit more volume. He does get some passing, so the PPR is nice. And I expect him to find the end zone this week.
The Colts defense is just banged up across the board. After DeForest Buckner, of course, being out, they also are going to be missing Kwity Paye today and also another guy, Tyquan Lewis. So 3 defensive linemen are out today. They are number 1 in my adjusted line yards matchup metric. I got to go ETN. If this is by the way, he dominated Indianapolis last year and they're at home. So I think he's got a real good chance here. But I like Kirk too. By the way, no Kenny Moore today, so that should definitely help his matchup too. So I actually would go both Jags if I had to pick between ETN. If ETN Kirk would be my 1A, 1B.
Good info on ETN. I may switch my my selection of Moss there, knowing what Bob just said about the injuries. So. I believe we have Scott Eminger checking in with a. Oh my God, Bob! Too much going on in Florida. What is the super chat? Is the term we use, right?
Yes,
so I'm going to
sir.
apologize to everybody out there ahead of time. We've got a hurricane on the way, so my head's a little left of center right now. So if I hem and haw or if I grumble and mumble, this is my apology. Don't let it be a reflection of the overall Razzball show for today. So morning back to you, Scott, and thank you for chipping in and chiming in. Starting Kraft at tight end, have McBride in my flex. Will he start today? I don't think he will. He was a pretty late questionable I believe he started with a concussion issue and then it moved on to rib. Is that right, Bob?
McBride is in today.
He is in today. Okay. If not in the flex, start Rome, Thugs and Harmony, Trey Tucker, or Charbonnet. I'm going to stay away from Charbonnet with Kenneth Walker being back. He will get some touches and probably what's going to be a positive game script for him. And I think they will lead that game from the start. Derek, you mentioned some weather probably for the Chicago game. That's not going to be great for Caleb Williams, who, by the way, has not been great. I love Trey Tucker moving forward, but if McBride is fully healthy, then I think the start is McBride in a game script that will require lots of passing. Only if you feel McBride is a full go would I start him.
Yeah. For me, I'm going to leave McBride in the flex. The NFL talking heads have been saying he's going to play. Out of these four guys, I think he's the best option. Not ready to start Odunze regularly at this point. Trey Tucker is really a nice home run play. If I really need an absolute ceiling play, I guess I'd go Trey Tucker, but not regularly would I play him. And I agree with Matt that Charbonnet is just not a play with Kenny Walker back.
Yeah, same for me. I'm sticking with McBride. So Matt, you mentioned the weather in Chicago, and that's actually probably the worst of the weather today, with winds gusting up to 35 to 40 miles an hour, and it's a crosswind as well. So the downfield passing is going to be a little bit affected by that, and frankly. I don't know, some may disagree, but when I see Caleb Williams throw, he's not necessarily throwing darts, in my opinion. So I'm a little bit leery of the downfield passing in Chicago. I think it favors the running backs, both Swift and Chuba Hubbard. So, yeah, I'm going to be off of Odunze for the most part. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. I'm sticking with McBride.
Yeah, I think the Trey Tucker thing is an interesting stash, especially with the Devontae Adams situation. But they're playing against the Denver Broncos, so I'm not overly excited to start Trey Tucker this week against Denver. I think Trey McBride's. By the way, Trey McBride last year went off. He dominated in that December game. He had 20 PPR points. So I think this is a good week to double tight end. I'm excited for you, Scott. Honestly, by the way, Scott Eminger. Giving us the super chat, our first one of the day. By the way, if you're interested in understanding helping us for the show, all you got to do is throw us $1. We get to your question first. But more importantly, we have partnered this season with Good Sports. Good Sports is a charity organization that helps underprivileged communities get sporting equipment to allow kids to play sports. So really cool charity. We're going to kick back 10% of everything we make from a super chat over to Good Sports. We really do appreciate you guys, giving us $1 to us means a lot. It also gets your questions answered right away. We also just, we work hard on the show every Sunday for you guys. We really would appreciate any good, anything you got. So Scott, we really do appreciate you. That's why you get to the top. Throwing us $1 goes a long way. All you got to do is become a super chatter on YouTube, or you can use Venmo or PayPal as well. If you're interested, just let us know. All right, back to the regular scheduled questions.
All righty. Oops, I'm sorry. Somebody already got ahead of me.
Bill Dino,
welcome in. Yeah, Bill's in. PPR flex, Najee, Kirk, or Wicks. Wicks is the sexy waiver wire play of the week. He's the 1A to Tucker Kraft's 1B. But I'm going to go kind of for the same reasons that Dave outlined earlier, I'm going to go with Christian Kirk. And in fact, Bob, to show you that, number one, that I trust you. Number two, that I trust your analysis. Number three, that I love you like a friend, brother guy. I just put in Travis Etienne for Dontavian Wicks in my league, or in one of my leagues, because of your breakdown. So give me Kirk. I'm going to slightly fade Wicks of these three. And I faded Najee all off season. He's a plotter. I'm not a big fan. And Pittsburgh's offense does not look fantastic right now. And there I say I will not mention their quarterback.
Yeah, I keep picking Najee, in the mid rounds of drafts, thinking, okay, this is the year. They're, Arthur Smith's there. They're going to run the ball a ton. Najee's going to smash, and then Najee averages like 3.5 yards a carry and almost never gets into the end zone. For me today, I'm going to go with Christian Kirk against Indianapolis. And like Bobby says, Kenny Moore's not there. So give me Kirk in the slot against the Indianapolis Colts. I do like Wicks, but I just don't like him over Kirk.
Well, call me the eternal optimist, because actually I'm going to go with Najee here, and here's why. Here's why. So the Cowboys are missing their top two defensive players. They're both out with injury. And, frankly, because of that, if you look at our adjusted line yard metric, the Cowboys grade as the friendliest defense to run against this week. So with Warren out, that means more work for Najee, right? Again, maybe I'm being optimistic here, but I like Najee. I like the matchup. I think the smart play would be for the Cowboys to run the ball. The Steelers to run the ball to keep the Cowboys off the field. And if that's the case, Najee with 25 carries as a game plan makes a lot of sense to me. And if he gets even, 3/4 of that, he should have a pretty productive day and again, optimistically find the end zone. So give me Najee on this.
Can I ask you a question? So I saw in Jacksonville it's supposed to be raining today. Is that actually a problem? Matt, what's going on down there in Florida right now?
The weather right now is fine. If you can't see that, but trust me, it's fine. But
I was seeing if we had boots on the ground, but I know you're a long way from Jacksonville. Yeah. I know. But Derek actually probably
here's the weird thing, right? That the last hurricane, Helene, that came through, we got rain, but as soon as the rain would stop, it'd be gorgeous, beautiful, humid, but gorgeous. Right now, there is no indication, if you look outside, that some ugliness has happened or on its way. But you look at the news reports, and it's supposed to be nasty. It will not affect, I promise you, it will not affect Sunday games.
Yeah, and I'm not seeing any major concerns with the weather in Jacksonville either. So,
all right. This is, by the way, Bill Dino. Bill Dino is a mainstay of the Sunday live show. Bill, we love you. And by the way, this is actually one of those questions where I like all three guys. Najee and Derek, by the way, brought up a really good point with the injuries to Dallas, but he also talked about Jaylen Warren and Cordell Patterson are out today. So Najee's the guy. That's it. So this is the week at home, by the way, playing against that banged up Dallas defense. I like him a lot. Christian Kirk has a solid matchup without Kenny Moore. Dontavian Wicks is playing the freaking Rams, who are the best out wide matchup this week. This one's a really tough one for me. I'm actually going to go Dontavian Wicks. I'm going to have a little fun today. You got the Rams matchup out wide. No Dobbs, no Watson. So I'm going to go Wicks slightly ahead of these other two guys, but all three of these guys are starts for me this week.
Yeah.
So what if the question was ETN or Wicks?
I think I'm still going to go ETN.
Yes, I figured that. Okay.
Anthony Richardson has been ruled out today, so it's Joe Flacco time.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah,
volume. Let's go. Everybody's watching that game. It's Joe Flacco time.
Yeah. Hey, before we get moving, Matt, with Bill Dino on the clock here, let me just jump to this one here. So I made the comment before about Sunday morning football not being good. And what I was referring to actually has nothing to do with the Vikings, Bill. It has to do with a matchup like we saw on Thursday night. Thursday nights tend to be bad games to watch, but we saw a great one this week with Atlanta and Tampa. And that was my point, is if we could get one of those matchups like that in London, that would be ideal. So that was my comment.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get one thing clear. This is for Bill and all the listeners. If you're going to get a sarcastic, poke in the eye, negative themed quote from this show, it's not coming from Derek. It is absolutely 100% going to come from me, and it could come from Sky. The rest of the panel is pretty good, pretty positive, good folks. Bob only reacts when he is poked. Otherwise, he's pretty standard. He's the boss. He knows to keep above the fray. Derek is always positive. Dave is who Dave is, right? We're still getting a feel for Dave. But he's pretty much the big brain, right? We've got Mega Mind, and he is analytically driven. So, Bill, don't worry about Derek being the guy that would that would make a nasty comment like that. If you are waiting for the nasty comment, you can hold your breath because there's probably one coming from me very, very soon.
You probably don't have to hold it very long. Yeah.
Breathe easy.
And there's the nasty comment from Derek. So I guess I lied to you. All right. So we have another. Do we have another super chat that I missed? We do.
Yeah.
So now Scott's bragging.
Scott is cashing in for us.
Yeah. What we don't do, Scott, on this show is we don't take kindly to braggarts, but braggarts that deposit money into our super chat, they get a free.
You keep bragging, Scott. You keep bragging.
Yeah. Go nuts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
He must be getting paid every week when he wins. So Scott, keep at it. PPR at wide receiver, I need 2, or he needs 2. Wicks, Flowers, JSN, good luck today. Good sports. Bills Mafia, Buck Army. Scott, love to have you in. Need 2. Zay Flowers just put up a dud, but the Bills did not really show up for that football game. I love JSN. I don't think I love him in a game script where I think that Seattle can run the ball and just finish this game early. I think there will be some passing early. I just don't know that there will be enough volume for JSN to be that wide receiver 2.5 or 3 that you need. So because of that, give me Wicks on the outside against a defense that doesn't exist. Give me Flowers in a bounce back in a game that the Ravens are going to have to figure out a way to score more points, and probably through the air. It's going to be a stack box. And here is my pseudo prediction of the week. By next Wednesday, Devontae Adams will be wearing black, purple, and gold of the Baltimore Ravens.
All right.
Okay, well, Scott may be bragging, and Scott, thanks for the donation, but he's also being complimentary because he's saying he's 4-0 with our help. So
nice.
That's pretty nice all the way around. So for the 2, I'm going to go with Wicks against the Rams, and I'm going to go with Flowers, even though he has not really shown up much this year. I think divisional games, the regular scripts kind of go out the window, and I think Cincinnati's probably Cincinnati is gonna inspire a little bit more of a passing attack today out of Baltimore. I like JSN. I just don't like him that much in this game for one of the reasons Matt said. I think Seattle's probably not going to really need to throw the ball too much. So give me Wicks and Flowers, and good luck.
Yeah, this is a tough one. So first of all, Wicks for sure. We've said it a lot already today. They really like him. I'm looking, as we've been talking, I've been looking up Flowers versus the Bengals, and there's not really a lot exciting there, to be honest with you, that we're seeing. He had 100 yards total last year between the 2 games against the Bengals in his rookie year. So I'm not really loving that. Looking at the slot versus wide tool and JSN's usage, I mean, he's primarily a slot receiver, but the Giants have been actually pretty good against the slot. So there's not really a lot to stick a flag in there as well. So this is going to be more of a gut call for me. And my gut says, and it kind of aligns with what Dave said, with these divisional games, the Ravens and the Bengals, sometimes you can just throw history out the window or throw what you think out the window. And this could be, I mean, it is the highest scoring game on the slate, projected anyway. And if that's the case, Flowers should get some piece of that. So more of a gut call for me, but give me Flowers and Wicks in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to agree too. Just from looking into all this stuff, like Wicks is the guy where, with the injuries to the players being out for the Packers, the matchup is really good. I know Darius Williams is coming back, the outside corner for the Rams, but it's his first game back. So I actually like Wicks in that matchup because I love Jordan Love. I'm all in on him. The next one is Flowers. Yeah, Flowers is kind of boring in the sense, but Mike Hilton, who's one of the top slot corners in football, is out today. And 13 of 24 targets this season for Flowers has been in the slot. So maybe that's just a little feather in the cap to bump Flowers over the edge there a little bit. By the way, the Giants are one of the best slot. Like Derek brought it up. And JSN is strictly a slot guy. I mean, like 99% of his routes are in the slot. So I would say, and I think you're right. By the way, at home, without Neighbors, without Devin Singletary, the Giants might not be able to put up a lot of points. It could be a Kenneth Walker day. So I'm going to go with Wicks and Flowers myself.
Now, we have a self-described Bears hater and Packers supporter at the head of the table most of the time here on our show. That's me. I don't mention Bears players unless I absolutely have to, and I'm paid to do that. Not well, but I am paid. I will tell you this. For anybody that followed my article and immediately picked up Dontavian Wicks to win them week 5, you need to pump the brakes. You need to temper your expectations because Matt LaFleur is wide receiver agnostic. That is proven in the fact that he suspended Romeo Doubs for complaining about his role and missing meetings. Doubs is suspended. With that, Jaden Reed is the clear number 1 right now. Wicks pseudo slots into the 2, but Matt LaFleur will not hesitate for a moment to play Bo Melton big time and Malik Heath a little bit less, which will cut into the opportunities for Wicks. So again, I love Wicks. I love him as a player, that he's on my team, my real team. Temper your expectations because Bo Melton, when he came in last year, lit the world on fire. So don't expect Dontavian Wicks to be Sterling Sharp. All right, deep breath. Marius/Marius, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I apologize if I got it wrong with either one. But Bob, what do we think? Marius?
Oh, Sky's the pronunciation guy. I might be the worst.
So
if it's
people
not like
out there that don't know, Sky is actually quint legal. No, what do you say? How do you say that? Lingual, quint lingual. I think Sky speaks 5 languages. One of them is didgeridoo, but Ben's not on the show, so that's wasted. All right, Marius, PPR, Sermon or Tracy, also Roma Dunze or Whittington. For me, this is an absolute smash play for Trey Sermon. He's getting an opportunity. He is going to be the running back 1. The backup, Tyler Goodson, is a pass catcher. So give me all of the Sermon in this game, especially when looking at these 4 players. Mr. Cruz?
Okay. For the first part, I'm going to go with Trey Sermon as well. I just don't want to put too much on Tyrone Tracy at this point. I think there will probably be a little bit of a timeshare there with Eric Gray, even though Gray hasn't really done much either. For the second part, I'm going to go with Jordan Whittington today against the Packers. It's not a bad matchup for the Rams as far as the passing game goes. And, like Derek said, the weather's probably going to be pretty nasty in Washington. So for today, I'm going to go Whittington over Adunze.
Yep, and I didn't answer the second part. If I have to go between Adunze and Whittington today, for me, it's Whittington as well. So Sermon and Whittington for me. Derek?
Yeah, let's make that 3. I was touting Tracy a bit, but I do like Trey Sermon here in this one a little bit more in that matchup. And then as far as the receivers, give me Whittington as well. With the wide receiver issues there with the Rams, we've seen Whittington get plenty of targets, and that should continue today. I don't have any reason to think that it won't. So give me Sermon and Whittington.
All right, Bob, first chance for a quad box. Are you in?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's get it done. Sermon, Whittington, throw up the 4. I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't have the music. I don't have the music.
What? You don't have the music? It's like
Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, baby. Aaron Rodgers is down with a knee injury.
He's back though. He's back.
Oh, is he? Okay, good.
Look at this.
By the way, what happened to all the sounds? By the way, they're like a million of them now.
Big time football. Boom.
Did you guys put all these in?
I did, yeah.
Oh man, Derek. All right. I was like, what is
Derek,
going on
Derek
here?
trying to earn a day off. Look at him. He's trying to
love
get
it.
Yeah, we got a lot of John Madden in there just to, how can you have a show and play some audio and not throw some John Madden in there? So.
I hear you on that.
Official Savage, clearly an Aaron Rodgers supporter. He loves playing, watching him play this terribly. I will tell you this, from a Green Bay Packers no longer having a $50 million salary cap hit on the books, Savage, I'm with you. Keep it up, Aaron Rodgers. You talked your way forced your way out of town, forced your way into too much money, forced Devontae Adams out of town. You reap what you sow, you old son of a bitch. Epic fail. PPR pick 2. Shaheed. I don't know that. Is he even still in the league? What's happened? T. Higgins, Jawan Jennings, Tank Dell, Jacoby Myers. Pick 2. PPR. I am going to go with T. Higgins, and I am probably leaning Tank Dell. I should lean Shaheed, but I don't think that he's going to do much against Kansas City. Give me Higgins. Give me Tank Dell.
Yeah, I'm going to go with – I like the Higgins matchup today. And I really don't like the Tank Dell matchup against the Buffalo outside cornerbacks. I'm going to bypass Dell, and I don't like the Raiders matchup against the Denver defense much at all. So it pretty much comes down to Jennings and Shaheed. I think Jennings probably has a much better matchup, but I think Shaheed's probably going to be a bigger part of the passing game for New Orleans than Jennings will for the 49ers. So I'll take Shaheed and Higgins here.
Yeah, Bobby, let me ask you, do we, with Adams out, do we think Pat Surtain, does he shadow Myers? Yeah, which would, leave Bowers a little bit more favorable, or do they think they more play straight up? What do you think that defensive matchup looks like?
I don't think Myers is going to get I think it depends. I would say no to start, but if Myers starts getting but it's not even that. Like the Denver Broncos overall are just tough against receivers in general. So I would say I don't think Patrick Surtain is going to shadow Jacoby Myers, but Myers is still not someone I'm really trying to target in this game.
Yeah, no, that's good information. So, yeah, Higgins for me for sure, and I like Shaheed as well of the rest of the options. Again, New Orleans traveling to Kansas City, they took one on the chin last week, so I can see them trying to get back to the roots with both in the running game and the passing game. So Shaheed's been getting some extra targets lately, so give me Shaheed and Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins is the auto start of this group. I'm going to go Jennings. The Chiefs are one of the best out wide defenses in football. And by the way, the whole Patrick Mahomes situation, like with the Chiefs injuries, I actually don't think the Chiefs will be the Chiefs anymore. They don't have a good running game. They don't have the elite wide receivers on the outside. And early season Chiefs last year, I think we're going to start seeing a little bit right now where the offense isn't great and they're relying on their defense to keep things close. So it's not going to be a shootout. And so I actually like the Arizona-San Francisco game to be a little bit more higher scoring. So that's why I'm going to lead Jennings over Shaheed.
Yeah, and I'm going to change mine. I'm going to copy Bob based on what Dave said about the Buffalo outside cover guys. I forgot about that matchup for Houston. Right, it was just exciting because Houston likes to chuck the ball, and the running game's not going to be great. So Dave, thank you for the info, and I will lean same as Bob. Give me Higgins and give me Jennings. Mostly based on the game script for that for San Francisco game. Epic fail. Is it crazy? Probably wrong show to ask that, especially with me at the helm, to consider Flacco over Burrow in a Superflex league. Is it crazy? The answer is absolutely not. Give me Burrow.
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy, but I am not that courageous. I'm going to go with Burrow against the Baltimore secondary today over Flacco against Jacksonville.
Yeah, I agree. It's not crazy at all. And I was actually hoping for this matchup, frankly, because the way this lines up, a volume. It lines up really well for a volume passing quarterback, and we know certainly Joe Flacco. He's probably going to throw the ball 45 times today. So no, it's not crazy to think that 300 plus 2, maybe 2 interceptions as well. But that's not certainly off the board. However, I am going to stick with Burrow in this against this Baltimore defense, which you can score points against. So it's not crazy to consider Flacco, and it would be exciting to do so. But give me Burrow as more of a safer play.
I want to say Joe Flacco so bad. I think Dave put it best. Like, I don't think I'm courageous enough to sit Joe Burrow this week against the Baltimore Ravens. But Flacco would be. I think Flacco has more upside in that game. But give me Burrow.
Yeah.
Don't get crazy here.
Yeah, and I need a disclaimer. I'm a ghoul because I was rooting all week for Richardson to sit because Flacco is going to be my starting quarterback today in Scott Fishbowl. So I had nobody else. Hurts is out. So, and Russell Wilson just never materialized, even though I said his name 3 times in a row, several times. So
it's just like Beetlejuice.
Reference.
Russell Wilson.
Yeah. No, Justin Fields, just leave it alone. He's good. He's doing great.
Oh, there's the first mention. Derek, mark that down. There's one mention by Bob of the player to be named later.
I didn't do that. That wasn't my fault. Someone else brought up another player.
But you said the name. It didn't need to be brought up. He said Russell Wilson. You found a way to weasel your guy into the conversation. Yeah, good for you and shame on you at the same time. Epic fail. It is not crazy. What I would do is if I had a home league, no money, or it was like husbands versus wives, boyfriends versus girlfriends, and it was just about fun, sure, throw Flacco in there. But the consensus for us is Joe Burrow all day. I am as a Packers fan. I don't like Narveson. I'm not sold on him, but Bob is the kicker guru. So if Bob says Narveson, then that's our advice as a conglomerate. Narveson it is. GR, half point, PPR, 2 flex. Need a solid floor. That's good information. We like when people come with the good info. So we're not shooting for the Jameson Williams type play. We're shooting for a floor score. Brian Thomas Jr., Trey Sermon, Jawan Jennings, Alexander Madison, Josh Downs, Wandale. I would start all of them if I had a team that needed help during the bye weeks. These are all great names, I think, for this week. But let me try to break this down real quick. I think with Flacco starting, I like Brian Thomas Jr., and I prefer Downs over Sermon in that game if we think Flacco's going to chuck the rock 45 times. So Jennings is good. Sermon's going to get volume. Madison, I think, is going to get volume as well. Wandale's going to get volume. But for me, if I have to make this decision in a vacuum, Brian Thomas Jr. is the absolute for sure play for me, and I love the opportunity for Downs with Flacco.
Yeah, for me, the auto pick of the group here is Brian Thomas Jr. He's one of the few rookies that has actually made a impact pretty early on, and I just love his upside. I think it's just going to keep getting better there. The other two, Jennings is just not enough of a volume play for me, and I really don't like the Raiders matchup in Denver today, which means they'll probably kill it. But I'm still staying away from Madison in this group. I love Wandale Wright, but I think he needs like 10 catches to get 70 yards. So if he gets 10 catches, he's a start, but I'm not counting on that against Seattle. So I'm gonna go with it comes down to Sermon and Downs, and I love pass catchers with Joe Flacco. So give me Brian Thomas and Josh Downs here.
So we agree on Brian Thomas for sure. I'm playing that one, but this was tough for me because I actually like Madison this week, especially with Zamir White out. That really opens it up for him. And again, from memory, I think if correct me if I'm wrong, Bobby, but I think in our line metric, I think that matchup, Vegas versus Denver, is a pretty good one for Madison, if I remember right. So I don't hate it, to be honest with you. I think he gets into the end zone, and I have a prop bet on that call saying so, but. I don't hate the other guys either. So we talked about Sermon already, and he's going to get plenty of workload there. I'm not as high on Downs, frankly, as the other two guys are so far. I think with Flacco in there really opens it up for Alec Pierce, even as well as Pittman. So there'll be plenty of balls to go around. Downs will certainly have his opportunities, but I don't think he's a slam dunk necessarily as some of the other ones there. So I'll go on a limb and say Brian Thomas and Madison.
I'm going with the guys, the first two. Brian Thomas is a slam dunk, but Josh Downs. The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of the most pass funnel defenses in football. They actually are okay against the run. They are horrific against the pass. And so I'm going to lean into that mindset here and go Josh Downs, who, by the way, played extremely well with Flacco last week. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are just terrible in the secondary. So give me Downs, give me Brian Thomas Jr.
All right, here's where the show gets going off the rails a little bit. I'm not going to accuse GR of being another one of Bob's burner accounts. If he is, he kind of set us up with like the first question, and I'm like, oh, let's answer GR's question because he seems like a legit fantasy football player. But if it's Bob in the background, right, I can see him typing and moving right along. That's where this next question comes in. It's a little stealthy. Fields question of the week. Just tastes like bile to say it. 6-point touchdown Fields, Purdy, Geno, Flacco. I'm contractually obligated to avoid one of these players. I am going to go Brock Purdy.
Yeah, I really love Purdy's matchup this week against Arizona. I think this is the week where he takes off. I'm playing in a bunch of lineup leagues, so I'm going to stick with my guy Purdy here.
Yeah, so this is where I'm actually going to go with Flacco. Again, the volume with 6-point passing touchdowns. He's not going to certainly rush him in, but he could easily throw for 4 touchdowns. He could throw for 1. So there is a little bit of risk there. I like Purdy as well. My lineup would be Flacco, Purdy, Fields, and then Geno. That would be my 4 in a row.
My SFB team is rooting for you to be right.
All right, Bob, do we even need to ask?
Yeah, no, it's Brock Purdy for me. It's 6 point per passing touchdown leagues. I think, and by the way, he played very well last year. And by the way, his entire team is ready. I mean, yeah, he doesn't have CMC. Mason's playing pretty well, but he's got his other receivers. Kittle should be in today. Debo, Jennings, Ayuk, and he's at home. By the way, if you look at Purdy's home road splits, he's much better at home, so I like that too. Flacco would be my number 2 as well in 6 point, and then Fields, Geno for me.
All right. I don't believe that you. So now I know that it wasn't you asking the question. So my apologies. Yeah. Epic fail back again. PPR pick 2. Adunze, JSN, Akers. I don't like any of them, to be frank. I will pick Akers for volume. And I don't think that the Seahawks are going to have to throw enough. JSN plays in the slot, bad slot matchup, but I don't love Adunze. Frankly, I would look to another player over those two on my bench or maybe even the wire. But since this is who we have to choose from, for me, it's going to be Akers and the better football player in JSN.
Yeah, out of these 3, it's pretty easy for me to sit at Dunze. I just don't like it. Ordinarily, I would love the matchup against Carolina, but I just don't love the outlook at Soldier Field today.
Yeah, I'm sitting Odunze as well. He's had 3 of his 4 games. He's had 5 targets or less. I mean, he only had 1 game where he's had more than 5 targets. and that was against a pretty weak Indianapolis team indoors. So I don't really love that. I am not a fan of Cam Akers, to be honest with you. He just seems to be a magnet for, when he gets his opportunity, and we all just wait for that to happen. And he just disappoints. I actually, in one of my leagues, picked up Dare Okunboyal, just to the fact that he's more involved in the passing game. And I don't. What did I say?
I don't even know what you said.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I'm bad with names too. So I was even like, all right.
Yeah. So I need Sky here apparently, but so yeah, I picked him up in one of my leagues as well, just for the passing volume, and here we are in a PPR. So I actually like Dare more than Cam Akers for Houston today in a PPR. So I don't love it. So of these three, I'm just going to take a shot at JSN. Just the fact that he's the best player of the three. He's in the best offensive situation. I don't love the matchup, but he might be able to peel one out and get me a long touchdown and make it worth my while. So of these three, I'm taking JSN, but I don't really love any of them.
I'm going to go JSN and Akers as well.
There we go.
Sounds like a weird quad box.
Next, I believe he is. Good morning, Shaheed or Wan'Dale Robinson. For me, it's Wan'Dale Robinson. Game script. I don't trust Shaheed against the Chiefs on the road.
Is it PPR?
Yeah.
Well, soon half.
No, it is PPR.
Oh, yeah, it is PPR. Yep. He's also asking Trevor Lawrence or Caleb Williams. For me, Trevor Lawrence. At some point, he's got to just be better.
Yeah. This is the receiver question is a floor ceiling question to me. So if I need a floor, I'm going to go with Robinson. And if I need a ceiling, I'm going to go with Shaheed. I think the best way to attack Kansas City is through the air. So I'd go Shaheed over Robinson if I had to pick one. And I'm just not ready to put the reins in the hand of Caleb Williams from my fantasy team. I'm not a real big fan of Trevor Lawrence, but I think today he's got a good chance to smash. So I'm taking Lawrence today.
Yeah, so I'm with Matt on this one, Robinson and Lawrence. Because it's a PPR, frankly, even if Robinson only gets 55 yards, he's going to do that with 8 receptions, and I'll take that, 13 and a half points and be happy with it, frankly. And then, between the two quarterbacks, I'm not really on the rookie anyway, week to week. I think he has some good opportunities here and there, but week to week, I'm not on him. And Lawrence is not been great, but he is coming around from what I've been watching him actually for reasons because I have him as my quarterback in a guillotine league. But he's in a really good spot, like Dave said, to if not smash, he's going to be pretty solid. So give me Lawrence and then give me Robinson.
In week 1, the Broncos slot receiver, had 8 catches for 39 yards. So, hey, there you go. Like 11.9 fantasy points on 39 yards receiving. I can see Wan'Dale doing something a little similar to that. So I'm going to go Wan'Dale Robinson and Trevor Lawrence as a slam dunk for me this week.
Yeah, I would say with a wide receiver like Wan'Dale that has the speed and the elusiveness, it's almost impossible to have 8 catches and 39 yards. So I would say his yardage would almost have to be more if he gets 8 catches again. 30. The math is almost unfathomable how bad that day was yardage wise.
Fun fact: Wan'Dale Robinson. So obviously, when we were doing this a few years ago, we had another guy on, one of our old writers, and he was talking about Wan'Dale Robinson from his Penn State days and how good he was and like how shifty he is. And he was on my radar early, and then he went to the Giants, and then he started getting hurt. Like, Robinson is a really good player. His role is just kind of very – like, I think his long-term ceiling is like Cole Beasley when he was at his peak with the Buffalo Bills under Brian Daboll, which, by the way, in PPR is like top 24 stuff. So I do like Wandale, and without Neighbors this week, he should be the number one read. So I think it's an okay PPR play, without a doubt.
Cosmo back, half point PPR, Flowers, JSN, or Tyreek. I can't even believe, I can believe because I roster Tyreek in a couple of leagues, that this is actually a question right now, that Tyreek is being asked, right? He's an auto start always and forever. This is just ugly right now. I unless you have no choice, Tyreek should be in discussion to be benched until Tua is back or until there's a real NFL quarterback playing for the Dolphins. Again, remember they released Mike White, and when Mike White played for the Dolphins, all bets were off. It was Joe Flacco-ish. That should have been the move. It should have been back to Mike White, but alas, it was to Tyler Huntley, who looked completely lost and didn't even run like Tyler Huntley ran when he was in Baltimore. I don't get it. Maybe it's Mike McDaniel's fault. Maybe it's the new curly hair, right? Maybe he's too much South Beach. I don't know. Mike McDaniel looks lost. Tyler Huntley looks lost. Waddle and Tyreek are almost sits for me at this point. In fact, I roster Waddle in 2 leagues. He's not starting in either. For me in this matchup, give me Zay Flowers over the other two.
Yeah, for me, as hard as it is to believe Tyreek with the situation down there now, and this is one of the lowest over-unders on the slate, Miami at New England. I can't start him out of these 3 guys. I'm going to go with Zay Flowers, and I just have a feeling today is going to be a decent volume day for Zay over the other 2.
A little while ago, we said, do we have the guts to sit Joe Burrow for Joe Flacco? And we kind of agreed that we don't. I'm kind of the same way here with Tyreek. This is half PPR, so we're not looking at volume, so it kind of takes away a little bit the downgrade with the quarterback. They've got to get that ball into his hands. If Miami wants to be an effective team and and frankly get back on the winning side. I mean, New England defense is no joke, so let's not take anything away from that as well. But they've got to get the ball in his hands, which means, whether it's a pitch, whether he lines up in the backfield, maybe he comes across and they just get the ball into his hands and let him play make. They've got to do something to get him involved rather than just trying to get the downfield passing in line. So I can't. I'm not moving away from him. He's your number 1 draft pick. He's still going to be. He was going to be a number 1 draft pick even if Tua was not there. So it's week 5. I'm not moving away from him at this point for these 2 options because we know both of these 2 options are flawed. Anyway, we talked about both of them. I'm going to stick with Tyreek and I'm going to roll with it and play the best player. And if I lose, I made the right decision. So
if you lose, you made the wrong decision. Possibly. Well, that's okay.
Yeah, on the road against New England, his last 2 games in PPR, he had about 15 fantasy points, and that's when things were clicking. I think I'm going to go Zay Flowers. This isn't the same. This isn't the same situation, right? Like Tyler Huntley, I think he'll play better this week. He had a little more time in the offense, but Tyler Huntley's not like a pure pocket passer. I know he was a Pro Bowler somehow. I don't know what the hell happened there, but I feel the safest with Flowers in his matchup against Cincinnati versus Tyreek with whatever's going on here.
All righty. My answer is very easy, very quick for Zalman on this one. It's Kyler. It's Love. I only see 2 names.
Yeah, I've got to go with Kyler Murray and Jordan Love. I think in the Love matchup is too good against the Rams, and the Kyler matchup, I think he's going to have to be a hero against the 49ers for Arizona to stay in it. I just don't. I don't hate Justin Fields here, but I like the other 2 better.
Yeah, same for me. I don't really hate any of these, but the most upside to me is with both Love and Kyler. So give me those 2.
Love and Kyler.
Who are you?
I don't really care for that Pittsburgh game, to be honest with you. It's in Pittsburgh. Dak's, I don't think Dak is going to put up a lot of points in that game against that Steelers defense. I don't think Fields is going to have to do that much, to be honest with you.
I just love that you're coming around. It's happening. I can
I'm not
feel
coming
it.
around. He was the QB
No,
one last week. He was the
You
QB
are-
one
you are
last
for
week.
sure-
It's okay. It's okay to be wrong. I'm very okay with Fields in the right matchups, but this is not the one I feel like it
Right.
is.
Basically, I'm taking a rock this big and I'm just chipping away a little bit at a time. Before you know it, the rock will be this big, Bob, and we're going to put it right on your little finger, and we're going to be married over that player. You watch. Yep.
Sounds good.
No,
Let's do it.
I've read this this post from GR about 4 times. I'm not quite sure I make heads or tails of it. So if somebody can decipher it, this is where we usually get Sky to come in. I believe he's saying that he has 4 empties or zeros and no room to pick anybody up. So he's got no droppable players. Then I think he brings up a trade question, grabbing someone else's Tyjae Spears and Ladd McConkey. Apparently that owner also has Devontae Adams. Then I believe he's leaning into the players I could trade to acquire Spears, McConkey, or Adams are the following list. Is that how you read it?
To me, he's talking about another team in his league, right? And he wants to offer a trade. So he's saying the guy has 4 empties, no room for pickups. He wants to trade for Spears and McConkey or Adams. And those are the guys he's willing to part with at the bottom.
And do you take that as in if he makes the trade, it happens? I mean, it doesn't matter if it happens this week or not, right?
Right. So none of the guys he's targeting are playing this week.
Yeah.
So from his point of view, he wants to exploit a condition where he can pick up some guys that the other guy can't play, and he can part with a guy that is available to play and pick up some of the assets the other guy has.
All right. So one of Derek's when I start talking about making moves or trades in our couple of home leagues that Derek and I manage together, one of the favorite comments that he makes is it feels like you're just rearranging chairs on the Titanic, deck chairs on the Titanic. So with that, I look at the list of players he's got. I'm frankly happy with that list and don't know that I need to force anything to acquire Spears, who's had some run but hasn't looked great. McConkey's been okay, but nothing fantastic. Devontae Adams is the best name on the list behind Brian Thomas Jr. right now. I'd probably just stand pat. I don't know that I try to force any type of deal out of this list.
Yeah, I'm probably not trading Brian Thomas for any of those names, not even Devontae Adams. The other guys, I'm not sure you're going to get much for Eckler or Ridley. Again, I think what you said about rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, I don't think it's necessarily an upgrade for either team to pick up Spears or McConkey. Maybe Devontae Adams, but I don't think he's going to trade Devontae Adams for any of those guys.
Yeah, I totally agree with you guys, and I don't think Adams. I mean, if there's anything positive right now with Adams, is the fact that he might get traded, and then it's even going to be a couple of weeks before we see the fruits of that. But anyway, there's upward, at least mentally, there's some upward thought there. I don't think Adams, or the cost to get Adams is going to be too high, so I don't think that. And then, like you both said, I'm sticking with the roster that's there. I don't think adding either one of those other guys really makes my team any better overall.
Do we know what GR means by any way? Is that his initials? Is it like Garrett Rumsfeld, Gilbert Romington? Like, what do we think here?
It's your account. Right.
Yeah. Get real. All right, that's what it means. I I honestly, I think this is a really good opportunity. I think GR is doing a really smart thing here and trying to figure out a way to not exploit, but like honestly, if this guy is what 0-4 heading in 1-3, this is a must-win week for this person. I don't mind, but you have to talk to the owner. Like, if you could say, "Hey, what do you want from McConkey? I'll give you Madison or Jennings." I would make that deal in a heartbeat. The guy needs a win. Give me McConkey. But I don't know if that guy's willing to. He might just punt the week and just keep McConkey. You have to reach out to the guy. But I would definitely offer Madison Jennings for McConkey. If the guy's willing to part with Adams, like honestly, I would offer him a guy like Worthy. Hey, do you want Worthy? I'll take Adams off your hands. But I don't know if that gets it done. You need to speak to the guy. But I would offer. And I'm not trading Brian Thomas. I'm not trading Josh Downs. Even Eckler for a player like McConkey / Adams, I would be considering too. So. Definitely worth it. I think go for it. I really do. I think it's worth a shot.
All right, fair enough. Lindorphins, welcome in. Bob, quick quiz. What is his handle in reference to?
No idea.
I know Derek knows.
Lindorphins?
He is not a Dolphins fan. He is a Francisco Lindor supporter. Bob,
God
that's
bless him.
baseball. He plays
Don't
for the
know what that
Mets,
means.
shortstop for the Mets. Anything? Nope. All right.
No,
Lindorphins, thank you for checking in. Good luck to you as well. All right. See, Derek, you've ruffled some feathers out there.
all right.
You've apologized.
But Bill's sticking with us, so he's good. He's good in
God
that.
bless him. God bless Bill.
Thank God for Bills. As Aaron Rodgers says, relax. I don't know if he's speaking to you or me. I'm going to take it on my shoulders. You've apologized. You've taken the high road. I appreciate that, Derek. So, Bill, Derek, hug it out. Everybody's good. High five. And let's move on. GR, Get Real is back. Could send Sermon to. No, we've already told you, stick with the roster you have. Bob likes maybe making a phone call or an IM or an email to the other owner about what would it take to acquire player X. We are not trading Brian Thomas Jr. We've agreed to that.
No.
Flacco or Geno Smith? Give me Joe Flacco because of the game, not because of the. This is not Geno Smith's not going to do what he did last week. This week against the Giants, he doesn't need to unless Daniel Jones comes out and is the Joe Montana revisited, which he's not going to be. So give me Flacco. Let's have some fun with this one, Cosmo.
Matt, sorry, Dave. Before you start, Matt, wasn't Geno your start of the week?
He's my start of the week. I did a little bit of looking at the matchups, and that was before I knew Neighbors was out. The article is published. I have to live with what I wrote. So I believe my sneaky play behind Geno Smith was
Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco. So, yeah. I hedged my bets.
Okay. I love Geno Smith as an NFL quarterback. I think he's probably one of the most accurate guys out there. But, Joe Flacco is just fun. Give me all the Joe Flacco this week over Geno Smith.
Yes.
Yeah, while you guys were talking the trade here a few minutes ago, I was creating a parlay around Joe Flacco and his receivers. So that tells you where my head is today. Give me Joe Flacco.
Listen, this podcast, remember last year, man, we were all about Joe. Like, Joe just is like, he's an NFL starting quarterback who just gets no respect. I mean, it makes no sense. It's unreal. Like, he is a legit pocket passing quarterback. I understand fantasy football. We like mobile guys, but listen, this dude rips it. I love it. This game's going to be fun. And by the way,
think about if Miami had made the move for Joe Flacco.
If Bobby can tell you, we actually had that conversation on Wednesday. Joe Flacco being in Miami, and what that looks
like. Or the
like.
Raiders, like
Joe Flacco being anywhere, somewhere a switch flipped in Joe Flacco's head, and he got the idea that he was Brett Favre. And ever since it's just fun all the time with Joe Flacco.
Short memory. Now let me ask you this: everybody but Bob. Do you think he's the starter in Pittsburgh?
No.
Probably not.
Not with that coaching staff. They're too conservative.
By the way, the irony is the Colts situation, right? Like the Colts were just like, hey, we have Anthony Richardson. Oh, Joe Flacco. By the way, you know who really could use like a guy like Joe Flacco? The Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here? They are just like the Colts were the smart team that were like, Anthony Richardson might get hurt. We'll just have this really good backup, and now look at them. They're going to still win football games.
Not only did they sign Joe Flacco, they got him for the bargain basement price of $5 million against the cap. I mean,
Right, yeah. We could
And
go
by
all day.
comparison, I think Darnold's comparison, he's getting 10 million, and he wasn't going to be the starter, right? It was going to be JJ McCarthy's team. And then add to that the fact that Cleveland just will not admit that they made a 200. We see it, Derek. You don't need to move anymore. We see it.
Well, you know, and I'm going to take a little aside here because, okay, you say that you see it, but what have you not seen today?
I saw it. I saw it immediately.
Come on, guys. What have you not seen? The upset.
By the way, Derek, I'll say it for you.
Well,
shout out to the Commodores. Derek is a Vanderbilt grad, and Vanderbilt at home, completely outgunned, outmanned, outnumbered, to include the fan base. 3/4 of that stadium was full of Alabama fans looking to go get a drunk night in Tennessee. And the Vanderbilt football team behind Diego Pavia punched the #1 Alabama Crimson Tide right in the mouth all night.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Is there football on Saturdays now? What's going
Junior
on?
varsity football.
Back to Joe.
Let's get back. Let's move on. Let's move on. We love Joe Flacco. Let's move on. All right.
Cleveland will not admit from the front office down that they made a $250 million mistake, plus a $5 million mistake by not re-signing Joe. But what they did is they brought in Jameis, who's a great, fun, not great, but he's a better than average, fun fantasy quarterback. Until they admit they made a mistake with Deshaun Watson, Cleveland's not going to be playing in the playoffs, even with the return of Nick Chubb. They need to admit the mistake, salute smartly. We got it. Sorry, our bad. We're going to release this guy. We're going to move on from him, or put him on the bench and just make him carry a clipboard. Bacon. By the way, I made a fresh batch of bacon today. Breakfast tacos here in Florida. Might be the last time we ever cook because we're probably going to lose our home in a hurricane. Full PPR. ETN, Jerome Ford, or Achane, please pick one, or pick one, please. I wrote up Ford in my starts for week 5, but I tend to stay away from guaranteed #1 players for position for certain teams. My gut tells me that the play this week, based on Bob's analysis, is ETN. I'd be hard-pressed to sit Achane, but I watched Achane play football last week. So give me ETN, Ford, and Achane both as very close 1Bs for this week.
Yeah, I actually think that the Dolphins need Achane to go off rather than Tyreek, but I'm not picking him over either one of these two guys. I'm gonna go with ETN. I just think he's probably going to be the volume play here, but I really don't hate Ford against the Washington Commanders. So both of those are good choices, but give me ETN out of these 3.
Yeah, I'm going to lean on our adjusted line yard metric to answer this one. Jacksonville has the highest favorable adjusted line yard metric against the Colts. The Dolphins have the second worst against New England. So New England's been very, very good. Or frankly, the Dolphins have just been poor with their offensive line push. And then Cleveland is actually more in the middle. So to me, this tends to push me towards ETN, and I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, ETN for me. I'm good with that one.
All right. Yep. And Bob, do you want to hit that analysis that you gave earlier, or just let it run for ETN?
So what we have done in the back end is we have looked at FTN, by the way, is a really good site. They do a thing called adjusted line yards. Essentially all it is the push an offensive line gets off the line of scrimmage. So the more of a push they get, that means there's more yards for the running back to run before they get contact in most cases. So what we have done is we looked at offensive line and defensive line adjusted line yards and created a matchup metric. And so based on that metric alone, the Jags have the best matchup of the week, on top of the fact that the Colts are going to be down 3 starting defensive linemen this week, which is why we're really liking Travis Etienne. So that's a full breakdown of why when we say adjusted line yards matchup metric, that's what we're talking about.
And you mentioned Kenny Moore, right? Another good tackling defensive back that is out for the Colts.
Yep, slot corner, yep.
All right, Jelly of the Month, a great Christmas Vacation reference in my mind. That's how I take it. Trey Sermon or Kareem Hunt PPR? This is a really good question. This is an interesting one for me. I happen to roster both in Razzball, where I am currently eighth in my division. Embarrassing as the commissioner, but I have both, and I only have $1 left in my fab for the rest of the season. So for me, I think Sermon is the volume, whereas Hunt is certainly more trusted by Andy Reid. And I think once Carson Steele fumbled the football, he's probably out of the mix. CEH, in my opinion, is not really ever going to be truly in the mix again. I think I'm going to lean Kareem Hunt, but the answer is probably Sermon with the matchup and the volume. But I think I'm going to lean Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, for this week, I'm going to go with Trey Sermon against Jacksonville rather than Kareem Hunt against New Orleans. New Orleans can be pretty tough against the run. I know Hunt looks like the guy there, but for me, I'm gonna go with Sermon this week.
Yeah, so to me, it kind of really comes down to personal taste. Are you like a strawberry or blueberry jelly person, or are you more like the marmalade? And to me, I'm really more interested in the marmalade, and to me, that's Trey Sermon. So give me Trey Sermon and that upside in a better game. Frankly, I don't necessarily think either one of these running backs are all that great to begin with, but that Kansas City backfield is still a mess. There's just no doubt about it. And Trey Sermon has a pretty clear shot at in his matchup to get the majority of the work. So give me Trey Sermon and the marmalade.
Delicious. Listen, I've said this a bunch today, but like the Jacksonville Jaguars are a pass funnel defense. I'm not overly excited about Sermon, but I have no idea what the Chiefs are doing at running back. Hunt would make sense, but if CEH is officially activated, I could easily see them putting him in there and throwing him a 10 to 12 carries. Just give me the known commodity of what Sermon's going to bring today. I'm okay with that. In a relatively high-scoring game, maybe he'll get a couple pass catches too. I don't know, but I'm going to go Sermon.
Okay, so to wrap all the way back around, I want the answer to be Sermon. I didn't want to jinx it with the other three. So let's say, because I agree now, thank goodness the three of you didn't go Kareem Hunt. It was a trick. You guys all passed. I win. Trey Sermon it is, which means he'll go 14 carries for 31 yards.
And just a footnote to the discussion, I did see something. I didn't look at it, but I just saw the passing that CEH is out today. Not that it changes my answer, but
okay.
All right, epic fail is he is in with us all morning. I love it. I know you guys do as well. PPR, Zach Moss or Cam Akers. For me, there is no discussion. Give me Zach Moss, even though the matchup is slightly in Akers' favor. Give me Zach Moss.
Yeah, it's Zach Moss for me. I just don't think Akers has the volume. I don't think he's getting work in the passing game. I think Moss will have more volume and more value. I don't like the Houston matchup against Buffalo that much in the running game.
And Derek, you've got about 30 seconds to put a Dare Ogunbowale photo behind you.
make it three. Make it three. No.
I'm going to be the outlier here. I'm going to go Cam Akers. The Bills give up the most fantasy points to running backs this season, and the Ravens are a bottom 3. So I have no interest in Zach Moss this week.
So that sounds like Dare is the right play then.
Yeah, that is skewed by the Derrick Henry yardage.
No, it's not at all. I mean, if
I
you
know
just
it's
look
not.
at the
I
game,
know it's not, but it's fun to say.
I mean, 29 fantasy points to Devin Achane, 17 to James Conner, and then ETN had 12. So, but yeah, 35. By the way, you missed Justice Hill had 21.6 fantasy points last week. So the Ravens did drive that up a lot.
Yeah. Most of that was through the air, though, I believe. Bob, you mentioned James Conner. That's our first James Conner mention of the week. Normally, we get a lot of questions about him.
He's an
Probably
auto
bye
start.
week
That's
makes
why.
it, scale of 1 to 10. How much do you love James Conner?
8.3.
Fair. Love it. Piro Castillo, Flowers, Kirk, or Wicks. Boy, we've seemed to get the same names. As bye weeks kick,
Yeah.
we start to get the same names being thrown about. We're going to assume half point PPR, Flowers, Kirk, or Wicks. I think as a collective, we have agreed that Kirk is probably the play this week. So I will lean back to what we said before, and I'll go Kirk. I also like Wicks. Flowers a little less.
Yeah, out of the three, I like Christian Kirk the best. I also like Wicks, and I'm with Matt on the order of the players.
No, I'm going to be the outlier. I'm going to go Wicks against that very, very, very friendly Rams secondary.
What is the adjusted line metric for the Packers running against the Rams? Could it be a Seattle Giants where Jacobs runs all day just like Kenneth Walker will, meaning that's the assumption, or is Green Bay going to drop back and throw the ball 30 times?
They're ninth in our metric.
Ninth, yeah.
But it's the other thing I will say this about the Rams, they did kind of do some adjustments last week where they actually weren't. Before I say that, I just want to make sure they weren't like, yeah, I guess DeAndre Swift played pretty well. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm still gonna go. I'm gonna go Kirk here. I think Kirk is the one without Kenny Moore. I think the Jags are really I really like that matchup for them. So I'm gonna go Kirk slightly ahead of Wicks than Flowers.
And I think this might be, unless you guys saw this person last week, Piro Castillo. This might be the first time we've seen this person. So welcome to the show. Much appreciated.
I love it. Nice.
Epic fail. He or she must have 45 rosters to go through. Half point PPR, Akers or JSN. I hate this question because we've talked about JSN in the slot, rough slot matchup, plus Seattle theoretically doesn't need to throw a whole bunch, but Akers is in a nasty situation and he's not good at football. Give me the more favorable, fun player to watch in the late game. Give me JSN, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about either guy, but I'm going to go JSN over Akers as well.
Yeah, so we've touched on this before, and we know, as I've already said, that this gentleman here who's coming up on my screen.
Oh, he's doing it, Bob. He's doing it. Brace yourself.
Coming up on my screen.
There it is.
Is the pass catcher in the running back room today for the Houston Texans. So Akers, I mean, he's only worth a play if you think he's going to get 20 plus carries and get into the end zone. That's the only reason you play Akers today. And to me, that's not really on the table. Give me JSN in this one. And Dare to be a PPR
dare
goal.
I say Dare?
PPR goal.
I don't think anybody, whoever coaches Cam Akers, likes him. I don't know what it is about all the coaching staffs that take on Cam Akers. They're just like, he looks really good, but then like when it comes down to it, he never gets fully the trust of any coach staff. Maybe it's the fumbles and stuff that he has, but I think JSN is going to be extremely disappointing today. I really do. In half PPR, I think you're looking at like a 5 for 50 day or something, and maybe Akers doesn't do better. I'm going to take the upside of Akers. I'm going to go Akers in this one.
Upside, upside and Akers. Did you just use upside and Acres in the same sentence?
Yep, I did.
Yeah, he may have meant David Akers. He might have been going back to the Philly kicker days.
Yeah.
Looks like we have an internal question from the staff. Top streaming defense. Bob, you got a list of streaming defenses? We've got a roster that is currently employing the Kansas City D. They've been very nice to say please and thank you. We got a list of streamer defenses you love today?
I like the Patriots if you can get your hands on them. I also like the Seattle Seahawks against the Giants. Obviously, you can get your hands on them as well. If you're looking for something a little bit deeper, Denver Broncos. I like to a little bit this week. Miami's probably not as taken, so I wouldn't really worry about them. But honestly, other than that, I think it's really Patriots and Seattle would be the two streamer defenses that I've picked up.
Derek and Dave, do you have an opinion on a streaming defense for folks that are dealing with their bye weeks?
Yeah, for this week, I like either side in the Miami-New England game, even though they aren't usually high scores. Denver's a good a defense I like a lot this week, and the Bears I like against Carolina this week.
The Bear, is that mainly due to the Bears being good on D, or the Bears being so-so on D and the weather being bad?
I think the weather's going to be bad, and I think if I want a home run play, I'm going to hope for something along the lines of a pick six or a return in the kicking game.
All right.
So,
Derek, any thoughts?
Bobby or Dave, are either of you considering Vegas or Washington over Kansas City?
I don't really care much for Washington, but it's an interesting home run play. Vegas, I just don't like at all. There's too many injuries there. I know they're playing a pretty bad offense, but I just don't think there's a lot of statistics there for Vegas on defense.
Now, here's maybe an unconventional team to think about. What about New Orleans going to Kansas City?
Yeah, I know it's not a popular one, but I think that New Orleans is going to do it. I'm telling you, I just have a feeling that game is probably going to be more defensive oriented than we're expecting because of the injuries to Kansas City. I think that New Orleans could be. I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be. I would say New Orleans is. I've debated on playing them, but then I picked up New England instead.
Yeah, I definitely like New England over New Orleans, but I think that's an interesting play as well, New Orleans.
And
I think funny. Based on, go ahead, Dave.
It's funny, out of all the teams you guys mentioned, I don't hate Kansas City this week either.
At home, yeah.
You know, I mean, if there's anybody that can mess up a pocket, it's Steve Spagnuolo, and Derek Carr is very jittery when people are at his feet.
Yeah, and he's immobile.
Not only that, but Casey's got a pretty solid run defense. So, you know, I don't hate the Chiefs this week.
Well, there you go, Derek. Thank you for the question, even though I typed it for you. I think that it's probably Kansas City, New Orleans. We'll go with our gut tomorrow night. Pardon the dogs barking. The hurricane is on the way. If it gets too loud, Bob, just mute me and you can take over. Epic fail. One more time. Need one to drop on a bench for a kicker. Akers, Tracy, Chase Brown, Trey Tucker, and Whittington. I'm muting.
Well, out of these guys, I would probably drop Whittington. If I want him back, I don't think I would have a lot of competition for him.
For me, the drop is Akers. Unless you're having to play him today, then he's the drop for me. Well, I could make an argument for Trey Tucker too. If you're not playing Trey Tucker, you could drop him as well. But it's either going to be Akers or Tucker today, whichever one is not needed today.
Yeah, I would say my same thought process with Akers and Tracy. Obviously, I like Tracy too, but like Singletary's the guy. I'm not expecting Singletary to be out for a while. I would say drop Akers. If you're not going to start him this week, drop Akers.
All right. Apologies to all the listeners. Bob, I'm going to have to sign off. I got to go put these hurricane shutters up. The dogs are going nuts, so I'm going to turn it over. Boys, good luck today. Check in via text. I'll let you know how the weather goes. Yeah. If you don't hear back from me, I'm probably floating down south.
Yeah. Take care, Matt.
Right, hey, Matt.
All right.
Okay, let's get into this puppy. All right, George. By the way, I actually have to apologize to everybody on this right now. Cam came on the show a few days when me and Derek were on, and Cam was the last guy. Me and Derek were like, we have to go. It's been an hour. So I promised Cam that on Wednesday, when I see his question, we'll move him up to the top. Cam, we appreciate you coming back, buddy. What's up, guys? Sermon or Zach Moss? I think we've answered this a few times. I think we're all kind of leaning Sermon here, but what's your thoughts here, Dave?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go Sermon over Zach Moss this week. I just think there's a lot of opportunity for points in that Indianapolis game. So I'm gonna stick with Sermon.
Yeah, same for me. It's about opportunity here, and I think Sermon has more of an. It might be a little bit of a home run swing, but he has more opportunity. That could very well be a high scoring affair. So give me Sermon.
Sermon for me as well. George, back on the show, by the way. I appreciate you, George, coming back on the show. Welcome to the Sunday Live Start Sit Show, where you get all your Start Sit questions answered here every Sunday live. We got for the Flex non-PPR, DJ Moore, Trey Sermon, JSN, or Keon Coleman. What's your thoughts here, Dave?
For me, it's Trey Sermon. I mean, DJ Moore is probably the best player, but I don't like the situation there in the passing game in Chicago today. JSN, he could be a good play, but I like the volume for Trey Sermon over JSN, and I really don't know what to think about Keon Coleman. I know Khalil Shakir is out this week, but I'm not sure I can trust Keon Coleman to have volume.
Derek?
Yeah, I tend to agree.
By the way, Derek, sorry to cut you off. Before I also factor this in too, George talked about the rain, so I know you brought this up in your weather report. If you want to give everybody a quick rundown as well.
Yeah, it really the weather that I saw before the show indicated that it's really not expected to be all that poor today for Jacksonville. So I'm not really too worried about the weather. But even still, even if there is some weather, that it kind of leads towards Sermon. So I did talk about wind, crosswind, gusting wind in Chicago, which may affect Caleb Williams to DJ Moore connection. So. And we talked about JSN anyway. So, yeah, give me Sermon again. Opportunity. This is non-PPR, so that takes away the equation for the wide receivers as well. So, yeah, give me Trey Sermon.
By the way, so Boots, I just wanted to Google it. I went on X really quick, and it looks like Jacksonville doesn't look bad at all for weather, raining-wise. Some winds, though. Nothing crazy. All right. Yeah, I'm going to go – damn it, I'm not really feeling Trey Sermon today, but we keep going back to Trey Sermon. Since it's non-PPR, I think Sermon is your best bet, George. And obviously, I'm all in on Brian Thomas today. Join me as we take this journey together, my friend. Thanks, boys. Bacon, by the way, what a great name. Honestly, I was going to go Taylor Ham. Bacon works for me as well. Cougar Gold, we got B-Rob, Kirk, or Kittle in the flex PPR. So B-Rob and the Commanders. B-Rob is active today. Kirk has a great matchup in the slot without Kenny Moore against the Colts. And we have George Kittle. Looks like he's also active today against the Arizona Cardinals. What's your thoughts, Dave?
Boy, that's it's a toss-up for me between Brian Robinson and Christian Kirk. I mean, I love Kittle, but for Kittle, you're hoping for touchdowns more than volume. I'm probably going to lean Brian Robinson here. I think the game they've got is against Cleveland, and I think Cleveland's not great against the run. They're probably middle of the road, but I'm going to take Brian Robinson over Christian Kirk and Kittle.
Yeah, Austin Eckler's back as well, which should rob a few targets to.
You just
Brian
try to
Robinson.
drop a pun? Did you just try to pun that? Was that a pun?
Maybe. So yeah.
Right.
So I just don't. Because this is a PPR, this lends more to Kirk for me for that reason. So yeah, give me Kirk.
Yeah, Kirk for me too. I think that game's going to be fun. As long as the weather, obviously, as soon as we end the show and we put on the game, it's going to be downpouring in Jacksonville.
Probably.
And we're going to be like, God damn it. But I really think Kirk is the way to go on this one as well. Dropping down to DG Wavy. DG, what does that mean? Derek, what do you think?
I can't even guess.
Don't go waving. All right, let's go Swift or Marvin Harrison. This is a standard league, so we got the no points per reception. Dave, you're going to lean Swift over Marvin Harrison.
Yeah, today I'm going to go with Swift. I think the running games are probably going to rule the roost in Chicago since it's a standard league. I love Marvin Harrison. I think he's got a pretty good matchup against Isaac Yiadom when he plays against him, but I just like Swift today more than Harrison.
Yeah, we talked about this on Wednesday, Bobby. Carolina giving up the most fantasy points per game to running backs, including 7 total touchdowns. Give me DeAndre Swift.
Ooh, what are we doing here? Marvin Harrison's got San Francisco this week.
Standard league, though. It is a standard league.
It is standard, and the 49ers are a slot funnel defense. Oh, my God. DeAndre Swift, don't do this to me. DeAndre Swift. DG Wavy. I promise you, if it's Marvin Harrison goes off, you never have to come back to the show ever again. All right. Hayden Rittenhouse. Hayden, what's going on? Hope all is well. Pick 3. PPR. Javonte, Gibson, Wandell, or Ford. We got Javonte against the Raiders. We have Ford in Cleveland going up against the Commanders today. We have Wandell Robinson without Neighbors against Seattle, and we have Gibson, who has the de facto start against the Miami Dolphins. What do you got for us, Dave?
Yeah, I know Antonio Gibson is a popular name this week, but just because Ramondre Stevenson isn't starting doesn't mean he won't play. Out of the 4 guys here, I'm sitting Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, same for me. If Ramondre was out, my answer may be different, but no, just the fact that you're listing someone as a starter, we've seen it before. That doesn't matter. There'll be plenty of timeshare there, and Gibson's fine. I mean, he's shown when he's got an opportunity before, he can be all right. But no, I'm not gonna bank my week on that. I want whatever floor that I can get from Ford against Washington. That's what I want. So I'm going to sit Gibson.
Gibson averaged 2 yards per carry last week, folks. I don't know if it's going to be a major upgrade. He did make he did make a big play in the passing game, but I'm going to sit Gibson as well. BBA. Hey, y'all. What's up, BBA? I don't know what's BBA stand for.
Big badass.
Be better.
Yeah, I was going to say nothing lower than R rated. So
okay, cool, nice. All right. Well, we're going to leave it up to the imagination, folks. But please leave a comment. What do you think BBA means? All right, jumping down to Watson or Flacco. So Deshaun Watson has the Commanders' big game today. That could be a nice one for him. Or Flacco, of course, has the Jacksonville game. I think we're all going to go Flacco here. What's everyone's thoughts here?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's not even a question for me. It's Flacco.
Mr. Scampers coming in. Our favorite cat. Our cat's meow, Mr. Scampers. Chicago probably going to give Herbert all the work to troll us again. Yeah, this is a Chicago thing. After Swift has a breakout game in a plus matchup against the Panthers at home, they're going to decide, you know what, we're just going to give all the work to Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson. I love that.
Yeah.
DG Wavy, another one here. Tyreek Hill or Marvin Harrison. So we talked a little bit. I think this one I actually lean Marvin Harrison here, and I would sit Tyreek. What's your thoughts here, Dave?
Yeah, I'm going with Marvin Harrison. I mean, I know it's Tyreek Hill, but it's just not Tyreek Hill with a decent quarterback. I'm going to take Harrison.
Yeah, I started Hill over some marginal wide receivers before, but Marvin Harrison Jr. is not marginal. So yeah, give me Marvin Harrison.
Mr. Scamper's coming in with bourbon barrel aged. All right, look at that.
Nice.
Scampers, I love it. Even though it's his initials.
Talk about some catnip right there.
Forget about hair on the dog. That's a little bit of the catnip there. All right, let's go. A little LOL. It's my initials. Weather with the Colts game, yeah. I mean, honestly, BBA, we can tell you this. We've looked into this. It doesn't sound like it's heavy rain. We've looked on X as well to see what any other additional updates. It doesn't sound like it's enough to fade the Jags and Colts in really good matchups. Well, let's pray that the weather holds up there as well. That's all the questions we got. Well, go ahead, Dave.
No, you can go ahead, man. I was just going to say something about the rain, but doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, and the other thing too. So, just something I found out. So, like when I go onto the weather app and I look at like the weather reports, I just want to show everyone really quick what I'm talking about because it makes some sense here. So when you go on to like weather.com and you look at this stuff, right, you'll see like rain amount.
Yeah.
When it says 0.1, that's when you should start worrying about play.
Yeah.
So for the Jacksonville game, 1 o'clock, 0.01, 0.04, 0.04, that's not enough to really worry us too much. But when you get to that 0.1.
It's single digit wind too. I worry. When it's raining, I worry more about the wind than I do about the amount of rain.
Yeah, that's what I really look out for. And honestly, I always recommend. There's also a really good site called NFL Weather that gives you high level stuff, but they're very just kind of like it says definite rain, so it might freak you out. That's why you come to the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel because we really give you guys some really good insight here as well. Honestly, guys, before we close out the show, I do have a question of my own. I'm in a lot of trouble in one of my fantasy leagues. I have to start 2. Okay, I got Bo Melton, JSN, Rashad Bateman, Demarcus Robinson, Raheem Mostert, Mike Gesicki in my flex spots. I have to start 2.
Oh yeah. I'm probably going to go with JSN, and wow, I'd like to say Mostert, but who are the other guys, Bobby?
Bo Melton, Demarcus Robinson, Rashad Bateman, Mike Gesicki.
I'd probably throw a dart on the highest scoring game in the slate, and I'd probably start Bo Melton. I don't trust Demarcus Robinson, even though he's out there all the time.
I know.
It's I'm not ready to trust Mostert yet. So I'm going to say Bo Melton and JSN.
Yeah, that's wow. I would like to say Melton as well, and that's really swinging for the fences. I mean, we saw last week with the injury, he did get 3 targets, 1 for 28. So he's kind of a home run play. If you're going to hit a home run, what better team to try to swing for one is against the Rams. So if you're in a position to swing for the fences, give Melton a shot. But the other one would be JSN.
Who's your floor play?
JSN.
Well, but out of those 5 guys, I think JSN is the guy I like the best.
Yeah.
If I had a floor play out of those guys, I would hope to get something out of Bateman.
Yeah, that's. It's funny. I was looking at this too. Like JSN's matchup and the game flow of the Giants game, it all points to it's probably going to be underwhelming. The good news is it's a PPR league, so maybe he can get me double-digit fantasy points. But be honest with you, I'm like, the problem is I sat Darnell Mooney on Thursday, which hurt a lot because at the time I lost Jonathan Taylor. I was starting Romeo Doubs before the game. And then he went out and I had to go pick up Bo Melton. So it is what it is. I missed this one. I was thinking Demarcus Robinson and Bo Melton just for upside because I'm like, why not? That should be a high scoring game. But then I got a pretty big performance from Garrett Wilson. So, all right, let's move on. That's good feedback, gentlemen. I should have started Darnell Mooney. That's all I know. All right, Kirk, DJ Moore, or Wandell. I think this Gabriel, by the way, Marina's valet. I like this. By the way, I like the 3 names right there. Boom. All in there. It's very formal. I like that a lot. I'm going to go Kirk myself. What's your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Kirk out of these 3 guys.
Yeah, same for me.
All right. I just want to give a quick update, guys, before we go. I did do the injury report this week, and I just wanted to give everybody a quick rundown of what happened. We haven't gotten to it today, but honestly, I think it's really important. Ronald McDonald, by the way, jumping on. Antonio Gibson or Brian Robinson team. We got to help out Ronald McDonald as one of the key pillars of the show. What do you got, Dave?
100% Brian Robinson Jr. for me. I
Yeah.
just don't trust Antonio Gibson.
Same for me.
Same for me as well, Ronald. Enjoy the weekend. We're going Brian Robinson there. Just want to quickly run through some of this stuff. And one of the things that we talked about with DeAndre Swift is two of the key run stoppers. There's a bunch of injuries on the Panthers side of the football. Shaq Thompson, Josie Jewell, Jordan Fuller. All these guys are really key on the defensive side for the Panthers, especially the front seven for Josie Jewell and Shaq Thompson. So that's why I like DeAndre Swift this week. A couple additional nuggets here. Let's see. The Patriots are going to be down two starting safeties with Jabril Peppers and Kyle Duggar. Honestly, I think Jonnu Smith could be someone that gets a couple extra targets, might actually help him in the passing game this week. Honestly, if it was Tua, this could be wheels up, obviously, for Tyreek and Jalen Watt. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Raheem Mostert's officially back in as well. We also talked a lot about Joe Flacco today. We don't need to get into that, but look at the laundry list of injuries. Kwity Paye, DeVaris Buckner, Tyquan Lewis. There's a bunch of injuries up front for the Colts defense. This is why I like Travis Etienne. But if you really need a desperation dart, though, if you're looking at guys like Tyrone Tracy, for example, honestly, I like Tank Bigsby a little more in his matchup this week as well. The Colts side of the football, the Jags defense is going to be missing some key guys, including their big stud middle linebacker. Their linebacker, I can't even say his name, but Forsad. He was actually their leading snap guy before he got hurt, so that's going to be notable for the Jags defense. Trying to stop Trey Sermon today. The Bills are going to be down a couple key guys on defense, which is why I like the Texans pass game in the middle. Stephon Diggs revenge game. Tyron Johnson is out. Ed Oliver and Tyler Rapp are also out too for that Bills defense. So I think Stephon Diggs has a shot as a revenge game this week. And then also Khalil Shakir is out. I really like Curtis Samuel as a streamer wide receiver, dart throw in PPR formats, especially with no Khalil Shakir. Ravens, just wanted a quick update. Mike Hilton is out today. That does give a slight bump to Zay Flowers if you do need a streamer wide receiver 3. Raiders, Broncos, a couple key guys are out across the board, but Luke Masterson, who's a linebacker, and Divine might be out. We're waiting on some final answers for them. So honestly, those are two key run stoppers, so I really think Javonte Williams could have a much better day. I'm calling double-digit fantasy points for him. Let's see. Cardinals, 49ers, nothing really of note, but the 49ers will be down 3 of their 9 top front 7 players. I thought that was kind of notable as well, so wanted to throw that out there. Could be another helping hand for James Conner. Flipping over to page 2, as I lick the fingers, Malik Neighbors and Devin Singletary, of course, are out. Obviously, I think Wan'Dale Robinson is the PPR play. I would stay away from the rest of the Giants' offense if you can. Packers, of course, there's a couple key injuries. Luke Musgrave is a very underrated, questionable DNP all week. Tucker Kraft, I'm excited for him. I've talked about big time. I like him a lot long term. Bo Melton and Dontavian Wicks would get the majority of the play on the outside. So if you need desperation starts, you can start those guys. Cowboys, Steelers, Najee Harris week, folks. A couple key injuries up front for the Cowboys, and also Jalen Warren and Cordell Patterson being out. However, their best offensive guard, James Daniels, is out this week. So, we'll see what that means for the Steelers' run game. But Najee Harris should get a full workload. And then on Monday night, some key injuries. But Taysom Hill is out. And I think Juwan Johnson is an underrated dart throw at tight end this week. If you really need a desperation start, the Chiefs are very good against wide receivers. So there you go. That got us up through the end of the hour. That's all we got today. I want to thank Dave Cruz, Matthew Stiles, and Derek Favre. Let's call our shots. Dave, any final shot calls before we end the show?
Yeah, I think the game of the day is going to be Baltimore at Cincinnati.
Derek?
All right. Dare Agubawale, double-digit fantasy points in a PPR.
I think Brian Thomas has a monster day today. I'm going to go Brian Thomas, top 10 wide receiver, locked and loaded. I'm excited for him. But that's all we got today, folks. Thank you for joining us once again on the Razzball Fantasy YouTube channel. Make sure you jump up, starting Sutton, over Leggett, Hope Right Choice, Daniel caps all the time. Leggett, against Chicago over Sutton against the Raiders. Would you guys have done the same?
I'm starting Sutton over Leggett, just like this guy did. Daniel Caps.
Yeah, I would as well. Yeah.
All right. That was beautiful stuff, guys. Thank you once again. Obviously, once again, another Sunday Live Start Sit Show. Thank you, good. By the way, love Derek. Oh, you had to get it in there. You had to throw it up there, Derek. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Thank you for joining us once again. We are at a